Hello and welcome to the Summer of Best Ball with yours truly, Justin Herzig. All throughout the summer, I'll be hosting the Underdog Best Ball stream and bringing on some special guests. You can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday live on the ETR channel, hosted in partnership with the Owners Club. Coming soon in July, a new way to play best ball and fantasy football. Also, from the men up top, I want to give a heads up to let people know that everyone who signs up for the ETR Draft Kit Pro will get a free $10 on Underdog. Pro version comes with all of our best ball rankings, content, season-long Dynasty, all the coverage that you'll need for fantasy football. And if you already have an Underdog account, you're also eligible for that free $10. We'll have more news coming very soon on redeeming your credit. And now, for today, now that we've got all that behind us, I am excited to bring on a man who has never drafted an RB, driving up the ADP on every single-digit wide receiver last year. He is the reason you never drafted any Leonard Fournette last year. He's got an internet connection that only 1990 AOL would be jealous of. And he's the most valuable free agent when he hits the free market after working for RotoViz, 4for4, ETR, probably others, and now NBC Sports. Mr. Pat Kerrane, how are you doing?
Doing good, Justin. Thanks for having me on here. I'm excited.
Yes. No, this is fantastic. We are excited to have you after getting to hang out a little in New York with you last week. Obviously, you were near the top of the list for people we wanted to bring on this show, especially because I feel like your bread and butter, the value, your most value add always comes from the dynasty, the prospects, the rookies and such. How do you feel about your kind of handle on things this year?
I feel pretty good. I love Treylon Burks as a prospect, and he's already like completely bombed his Tennessee Titans audition. So I am, one thing I'm trying to be better at just in general is like, since I know I'm going to be drafting all summer, just like trying to get the best prices on guys. So like with the Treylon Burks stuff, it's like, I don't have to be out on Treylon Burks now, but I'm probably going to get a better price a little bit later, maybe as some of this stuff. I'm already seeing him fall, but maybe he falls a little bit more. So in general, I'm trying to kind of marry the dynasty takes that I have in terms of the player evaluations, and then also still have like a really strong sense of where the best ball market is going to shift around on these guys so that I can get really good prices on all the guys I like.
Yeah. And so like the Treylon Burks situation, like, maybe you didn't project that he had asthma. Maybe you didn't project that was going to have much of an impact. Like, does that make you like want to pull your hair out?
I mean,
like, is that what happened? Like
that is what happened. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
There were so many locks of love there. And then you must have just pulled them all out one by one. Stresses.
Yeah. No, it's, certainly, I'm very much kind of metrics focused, and there's not yet an asthma metric, conditioning metric that we have. I will say like a conditioning metric of sorts is that, the guy's handling such a huge percentage of his offense and was like outrunning Alabama defenders. So I do remain skeptical that he's like a big old fatty basically, but but I think we'll get there. But again, I do think it's probably, even with guys you really like, it's probably best to like take that new information in and at least ask for a discount, even if you're still going to draft the guy.
Yeah. We saw it with Jamar Chase last year. Last year it was the football's a different size. I can't catch it, even though he was legitimately a generational prospect, like one of the best wide receivers we've seen coming out of college in a long time. I wouldn't put Treylon Burks, I don't think you would, anywhere near the level of prospect of what we saw with the Justin Jefferson and the Jamar Chase. But like he's still, coming out was a lot of people's favorite. If we take that discount, I don't know, who are some of the wide receivers that you're taking ahead of him? Robert Woods?
No. I would still take him over Robert Woods, even though Robert Woods, I think, is probably now, like, I would say a pretty strong favorite to be like the week 1 target leader for the Titans. We just had a beat writer on for the Titans yesterday, and he was saying, he's not convinced that Burks will be in 2 wide receiver sets to start the year. So, there's definitely like reason to think maybe Burks should be more in like the 9th round range. But I still think like in these best ball tournaments, we've talked about endlessly week 17 and the playoffs, how much that matters. I'd still rather have the really high upside rookie than Robert Woods. But like I would be fine if the market disagrees on that. Like, it'd be kind of nice if his ADP fell behind Robert Woods. And, like Jamar Chase, I didn't draft a lot of Jamar Chase until all of the drop stuff came up. And then he fell like a round, and I hammered him after that. So I think with some of this stuff, it's like, it's okay to be like, this guy's a little too pricey. I was kind of there with Sky Moore. Like, Sky Moore going like, Sky Moore now sometimes goes ahead of Treylon Burks. He's fallen a little bit, thankfully. But, like, he's someone where I don't want to take a stance against right now because I do think he's the type of guy that could get hype. He hasn't really even been out there, and his ADP is still really high. But at the same time, just trying to get really good prices to where, like, if he ever falls in ADP, I'll scoop him up. But not trying to reach for guys even when I really like them. Because I tend to be someone who takes stances anyway. So being price conscious.
Do you? Like a Rojo over Leonard Fournette stance.
We'll get
that made my wallet very empty.
Yeah, sorry about that one.
That's okay. But no, and so you were mentioning even the 2 wide receiver sets, like if if Treylon's not going to start there. 2 years ago, we heard the exact same thing with BC Johnson and Justin Jefferson. And that was how it started. Week 1, BC Johnson was in the 2 wide receiver sets with Adam Thielen ahead of Justin Jefferson. I think that might have lasted a half a game. Like, we've got to take all of this, as you mentioned, with a grain of salt. I agree. I think we should take this information and should go and do our process. But yeah, if you're going to start giving me discounts on these guys that we love and we care more about the 2 years, 3 years that we saw in college, versus the first couple weeks of training camps, OTAs, all that. Like, yeah. Okay. I'm going to start getting ready. Get us into an Underdog BBM3. I think it's time for chat's favorite segment. 2 truths, 1 lie. What do you got for us?
All right. So right now in these Underdog drafts, the gap between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson's ADP is currently over 3 rounds. I think by September, they will be within 1 round of each other. All right. Number 2, I think Tony Pollard will outscore a healthy Ezekiel Elliott this year.
All 16 or all 17?
Yeah, they both play every game.
Pretty much healthy. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Maybe a little wiggle on the. Okay.
15
Number
games
3.
is still a healthy season for Zeke. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Number 3, in Best Ball Mania and the Puppy combined, I have drafted 69 teams. My dollar exposure to Ronald Jones, $420.
I don't even know what that means. $420. So, like, if that one's true, I don't know how you draft the rest of the year. Okay, so we have the 2 Jets. Over time, they're going to come closer together. We have Pollard over Zeke, and we have 69 Underdog drafts with a dollar exposure on Rojo of $420. Chat, how much does Pat really like his bits? Let's know. What are we guessing? 1, 2, 3. Which one is the lie? All right. And we have the number 3 pick. So an exciting start there. But let's see. We've got number 3 is too good to be true. We've got Willis going with 3. We've got Anthony going 3. God, it would be amazing. No one actually believes this number 3. It's just mathematically way too hard to accomplish unless you are purposefully doing it. But we do have an outlier. Someone does believe that you don't actually believe the Pollard one. First, let's do this. Are we going with Cooper Kupp?
What about Cooper Kupp?
Are we going with Cooper Kupp on the draft board? So JT.
Sorry. I didn't realize we're in. Yes, Cooper Kupp for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Tell the chat. We've also got a number 1 in here. We've got a couple others, but most people are definitely leaning towards your number 3. What's the answer?
All right. Just tweeted the evidence. Number 2 is the lie.
Wow. My first thought when you said that was, if this is actually true, like, how has this not been like a tweet? Like, how have I not seen proof of this? And the reason why is he's been holding on to it for this. That is incredible. Let me see.
Well, I dug around in my exposures and for this, and I found that, and I was like, I got to tweet it. And then I was like, well, no, I gotta tweet it after I go on the show and have that as the truth that could not possibly be truth.
That is absolutely amazing. Pulling it up right here from the Twitter sphere. When the bit goes too far, 69 teams, $420 Rojo. What is the actual percentage over here? Like, is that a lot? Is that not a lot?
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It'll cool off a little as I mix in McKinnon more, but yeah.
All right, so let's talk through this. What do you see happening with the Kansas City backfield? What is driving you to still just not give up on Rojo?
Yeah, I mean, Rojo, the thing about Rojo is, he was there for me a little bit in 2020, paying off a late ADP. Then he totally busted last year. But, it hasn't been a pure pain ride with Rojo.
No, because you knew before it was over for the other seasons that he was irrelevant. It was pretty painless.
That's true. Yeah, last year you were like, this is bad, right away. I mean, it's touchdowns, right? Like I think CEH is in a position where he's not been used at the goal line, and he hasn't been good as a pass catcher, even though that was kind of what people thought he would be good at. Now they have McKinnon, who looked really good last year in the passing game. I think he'll get used there. And Ronald Jones is basically just a bet that he gets the goal line work, and he's like able to deliver efficiently in a 2-down role, which he'll definitely be like a 2-down guy. But they've been talking about how they've been like looking to punish defenses for the too high looks, and CEH wasn't able to do that for them last year. Now, maybe this gallbladder stuff is why that was the case, but
just crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I think like at his price, I mean, the whole Rojo experience for me is really just like, I think he should be like going ahead of Dameon Pierce, and he goes behind Dameon Pierce. So then I end up drafting, you know what I mean? Like, it's always like, if Rojo is like a round and a half more expensive in every one of these years, I probably wouldn't really be on him. But it's like, it's kind of the, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in type of deal where I don't know. I mean, he's the cheapest of the guys that I think are kind of in that like premium zero running back pocket. And so he's like usually the last guy left. I take Rachaad White a lot. So, he tends to have a very similar ADP to Rojo. So there's other guys that I really do like in that pocket, but
just making
it's like him, and then it's down to like Tyler Algier. Sorry?
Just making another bet against Leonard Fournette with Rachaad White.
Oh, yeah. You always got to bet against Leonard Fournette. I mean, at this point, Leonard Fournette last year, obviously, we should have been taking because the price was so good. But this year, I mean, I don't think he's a bad pick, but he's certainly, you're paying for it.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of, he is on the board as a potential pick here. So we started off with Cooper Kupp. Often when I do that, I like to kind of hammer and grab two strong running backs here. Barkley or Fournette. There's no correlation aspects we need to be concerned with here.
I do prefer Barkley, but open to Fournette if you want.
I'm good with Barkley as well. I think Barkley has a higher floor because I don't think we have any like target or rushing competition there in the backfield. That Lenny still has that Rachaad White that maybe he loses that pass catching role. And then I think from an upside, I think Saquon's as high as just about any other back outside the top two. If Dable in that offense actually is as improved as we expected, the offensive line is better. The amount of volume, both from a rushing and pass catching that Barkley gets. Yeah, I think if he can stay healthy and that team performs as we think it may, he wouldn't shock me if he was the number one running back at the end of the season.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. I mean, Matt Breida's like, he has the Daboll familiarity as the backup, but like he was also phased out completely. Devin Singletary got 100% of snaps against the Chiefs. Like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like Devin Singletary got 100% of snaps. Like we could see a huge snap count for Saquon Barkley if he stays healthy this year.
And even when Breida was doing his best, I mean, probably San Francisco days, like he still was never getting more than, I'm making this number up, but my guess is like 30 to 40% of the touches in the backfield. Like he's never going to be a high volume.
No.
Maybe he digs a little into that Barkley, but hey, maybe it helps to keep Barkley healthy too.
Yeah.
All right. So after us, we've got the Tyreek. We got the QB situation going with Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte. All right. We got one more, and then we're back to us. So Fournette and Chubb seem to be pretty clear if we were to grab a running back. Is there a wide receiver here that you're like, no, I want to go for that wide receiver ahead of Chubb?
I'm good with Chubb. I've traditionally not drafted a lot of Chubb, but third round Chubb seems pretty good.
Yeah, he's not one of the running backs that I'm targeting. I definitely have Fournette, Barkley, and Aaron Jones at tier above. But then, Josh Norris, a few others do really like Chubb. He can have a tremendous workload. He's either going to have increased efficiency with Sean, I think it's unlikely, or he's just going to have his ridiculous workload with Jacoby, Baker, whoever it ends up being. And I think from a roster construction, we went Cooper Kupp overall first. Let's grab those strong next two running backs and see what we can build from here.
Do you think we should have gone Keenan Allen for the correlation, or are you not into that?
I think a lot of other people are doing that, and I just don't think it's the right. I think I think Keenan Allen, Mike Williams are just being overdrafted. I think that entire Chargers offense is like where Justin Herbert goes as well. I'm just not in love with the wide receivers that we have in this like round 3, round 4. What do you think?
I really like them a couple picks earlier. Like I like AJ Brown, T Higgins, to get a chance to. I don't love Tyreek where he tends to go, but like where he did go in this draft, I think is pretty nice. I think all those guys are like kind of superstar talents.
Yeah.
There's
those have
reasons
become
why they're going there.
Those are second rounders. I agree with that. I think there's just that drop off after. I think for me it's after AJ Brown. I'm not really getting Tyreek at his price, and then you get into this Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Later on, I'll take a DJ Moore and such, but not in the early third, like not even mid third. That's where I think like I'm more likely to grab these running backs that we have here ahead of that next tier of wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely went earlier here, Brown and Higgins, but like last night I got JT, AJ Brown, Higgins. So like that seems like it should be impossible, And so I've gotten third round Higgins, third round Brown. So when that happens, I love the third round, but there's the way that the third round can play out can be really tough to where basically to me, it's like a bunch of guys I don't want in Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. What do you think of Kyle Pitts this year? Obviously, some quarterback questions. The entire offense is a bit kind of just unknown. Added a little more target competition this year to expect than what we saw last year for Pitts.
I like him a lot. Ben Gretsch was pointing out, like, look, if he was just a wide receiver, given what he did last year, given he had a really strong rookie profile. Like one of the reasons we were so excited about him as tight end is he basically profiled as a big wide receiver. So if he was literally just a wide receiver, did not have tight end eligibility, wouldn't we be taking him over Jalen Waddle? And I feel like we probably would. So, or at least it'd be very close. So to me, I'm like, why aren't we giving him a little bit more of a boost here, given that he does have tight end eligibility? And he tends to go like, I've had a ton of late picks in Best Ball Mania, and I've gotten him a lot at like 310, 311, 312. I've even gotten him mid fourth. I almost got him at like the 407 the other day. He seems to be slipping a lot. So I've been kind of hammering him anytime he falls past like the mid third.
Yeah, I agree there. And he also fits my builds where I like having an elite tight end. I'm more in the kind of call it a barbell for the tight ends aspects of either I want one of the elite, and this year I'm calling it 3.5. I'll include Waller in there. So maybe 4. And if I don't grab that, I'm really passing on that Schultz, Goddard, Hawkinson range to really grab. I think it's just a lot of late value in that Irv Smith area. But for this tournament, when you're trying to get a week 17, like when you've got one of the elite tight ends that can put up 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's just so valuable. And you're not going to get that from a tight end later on, late in the draft, as maybe you might be able to find an Amon-Ra St. Brown near the end of the wide receiver aspects.
Yep.
And we are back on the board. Okay.
Sometimes it comes back in the 5th, but I'd be open to Kittle here. I don't know how you feel about that.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Terry? So I think I have Terry a tier above.
I'd be good with Terry. Yeah,
okay.
We could use the wide receiver as well.
I agree. Okay, I like that. As you mentioned, it is possible Kittle does come back to us. I'm not the biggest Kittle fan because I think it's just going to be a very run first team, and they're going to use George Kittle for his blocking skills to help Trey Lance. But that's all baked into the price at this point.
Yep. Yeah, my thing with Kittle is I think he's probably the best tight end in the league. So, at a certain point, I've been high on Kittle for years. And you kind of it kind of pays off because he has the 40-point explosion weeks. But it hasn't been always consistent.
Yeah. So for me, I would go DK here. I'm not a huge fan of Akers. I like Dobbins, but I'll take the ADP value on the DK versus the little Dobbins reach. What are your thoughts?
I haven't been taking a lot of DK just because, partly you guys have me so scared of the offense, but
if Baker goes there and there's rumors.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's go DK.
Okay. I almost went for a late Allen Robinson grab because of the Cooper Kupp, but no, DK is the much better pick.
Yeah.
Okay. No. And so I think with the DK situation, first of all, the gap between DK and Lockett is way too large.
It is too large.
But if anything, that gets me to I've been drafting a decent amount of Lockett because I think he's getting drafted in his worst case scenario right now. Oh gosh, wouldn't Lock be better for Metcalf than Mayfield? The Baker Mayfield hate has gone way too far. A lot of it has to do with he was drafted 1 overall, the personality aspect, but he's a pretty what he's done for his team, for his wide receivers is fine. He's an overall below average quarterback, but he is heaps and bounds ahead of Drew Lock.
Baker Mayfield, after I believe his rookie year, was going as the 202 in Dynasty Superflex startups. There was a time people were very excited about Baker Mayfield, and he played through a ton of injuries last year. He had torn labrum. He dealt with a bunch of other kind of nicked up injuries all year. I don't think he's that good. I agree with you. I think he's a below average NFL quarterback, but Drew Lock stinks. Drew Lock is an abomination. He's not better for anybody. There's not a single player on the field, maybe Noah Fant, because for some reason they have a connection. But Baker Mayfield is going to bring a level of competency that Drew Lock simply cannot.
Yeah, and I think the comment was having to do Drew Lock's more willing to throw a deeper ball, throw into coverage than Baker is. But a bad quarterback that has that style versus I was too nice. A very bad quarterback that has that style versus an average to below average Baker Mayfield that's just going to be better for the offense as a whole. You'll take Baker 10 times out of 10 there.
Yeah.
I like John's question here. I'll read it off and I'll let you guys some thought. But do you guys think it's a bad strategy to take 2 wide receivers from the same team at such high ADP? So Higgins, Chase, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, maybe even Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, as we just considered, since we should be betting on one or the other at the price. What are your thoughts?
I tend to think that because other sharp drafters aren't doing this as much as I think we normally would expect, given the correlation aspect, that I don't mind doing it. I don't mind taking Chase and Higgins, which is I think the most expensive way you can play that. Because I'm okay, I'm getting the bet on the team, the Leone when the team rolls, everybody rolls concept. I'm getting, maybe some smoothed out spike week distribution. Maybe you needed to have T Higgins in week 15 and you need Chase in the rest of the other weeks. And I also think I'm betting on 2 elite talents who can both have massive weeks. It's not Allen Robinson makes me a little more nervous because you're kind of just betting he has the touchdowns that week. Where Cooper Kupp is a superstar and Allen Robinson really isn't. So I think in certain cases, I actually really like it. And it's also one of those things where maybe if the field overall was really on it, I would move off it a little bit, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I will give my take on that in a minute, but we are coming up to our picks right now. So quick refresher, we've got Saquon and Chubb, same bye weeks, but we can deal with that later. And then we got Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, and DK Metcalf. Pretty strong at both position. Best QB available right now is Burrow. Then it starts a bit of a drop after that. Best tight end, I think, not ready to reach for anything there. who are you considering? Who are you thinking at this point in the draft?
This feels like dead. This is gross. This is a gross pocket we're in right now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the Cooper's been dropping just as more and more we, have less likelihood of Watson. I do like Elijah Mitchell. Jacobs and Gibson just feel like blah. Back. Do we take the ADP value on Cooper?
I mean, we made a bet on the Browns. I have not been drafting Cooper at all, but I guess we bet on the Browns.
And we have the Washington here. So we're really looking for that Cleveland,
God.
Washington week 17. And when we're pick 70, Cooper is 61. Even if he keeps dropping, like that's still decent value. So
this is the grossest. We have all the guys that are
you never
like,
said.
Yeah, McLaurin I think is fine, but like, you got quarterback concerns there. You got quarterback concerns with Metcalf. All the quarterback concerns with Cooper.
You heard it here first. The ship chasing guys will not draft Cooper Kupp. They just won't do it. These are the guys that they will not draft. So don't be drafting Cooper Kupp. Okay, coming back to us. Is there a QB? Because I agree. The wide, I mean, unless you're willing to want to get like a third running back with Jacobs or Gibson, the wide receivers is a major tier. Is there a QB here we want to grab?
We could go Ayuk and play for Lance coming back, which I doubt he does.
We got 10 seconds.
We could go Michael Thomas and make this the all gross wide receiver team.
Let's do it. Let's do it. God,
I mean, that is
so
no one grosser.
So
no one grosser than Michael Thomas.
So much.
God, this is so bad.
So much draft cap. Hindsight, I would have rather thrown Josh Jacobs on here or something.
This is
I'm just kidding.
The all red flag team with plus Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, a lot of upside with that wide receiver core. A lot of things that'll also make you throw up. So you really have to balance between those two. Chat, I need to hear from you. Who should we have taken with that pick? Like that was just ugly. Who would you have given? Please tell us because we do not know. Like I wouldn't have gotten in front of these tight ends. Maybe grabbing like that Burrow just because of the value and how late it was, and like you can find a Tyler Boyd and a Hayden Hurst later on.
Yeah, get a Chris Evans if you want to go that route. There's ways, but I do prefer to have Burrow stacked up.
Agreed. Right, because I'm on board there.
Mitchell, by the way, was gone. I would have been down for Mitchell, but he was taken.
100% agree. Because for the running backs, I think the difference with Mitchell here, Mitchell went actually here. For the Mitchell situation is, his floor is not great because he could lose that to Tyrion Davis-Price or just like you never know with the San Francisco. But his upside is also extremely high that you're not getting that upside when you're considering in the Antonio Gibson or Josh Jacobs range.
Yeah, I like Mitchell. He's one of the. I mean, he's not even really dead zone at this point because you're getting him sometimes in the 7th, but I guess the late dead zone guys. I don't mind him at all.
All right. Could have gone Gibson for the Washington-Cleveland explosion.
Oh my God.
Think about that, but
I didn't even think about it because I'm never there.
Yeah, I Gibson's. I don't think I have basically any exposure to him. I just don't see an upside case for him with the way that they've been using him and then what they did with the draft this year. Yeah, Mitchell was already gone. AJ Dillon, God, that feels like a stretch though, grabbing already. But you do,
He crossed my mind, but I don't love it.
Reach for Lance again. I think if we would have gone quarterback, it would have been Burrow. I think hindsight, like that's probably where maybe we should have gone with this. But you know what? I can't wait to show this stream when Michael Thomas comes back to slam play Michael Thomas with his 15 touchdowns and Jameis, and we're like,
I actually do think 7th round Thomas is pretty interesting. I know it's not. I know it's not fun.
If you like 7th round Thomas, you're gonna love 9th round Thomas next month.
Yeah, fair enough. I've already got an 8th round Thomas. Once I'm like, this is both good and concerning for my 7th round Thomas exposure.
I fully understand that. Okay, we've got 2 more. We've got a couple picks that I'm actually pretty excited about here. So I think we're gonna get a good one here. Baby Stevie, 2 QBs already. What do you think, Baby Stevie? Yeah, Lockett for our Seattle game stack. Mm-hmm. Maybe we get a Baker or something later on, and you're really making that bet in Seattle. Tony Pollard is a pretty decent fit, other than another week 9 bye week. I'm usually not drafting a Hawkinson here. What are your thoughts?
I like Tony Pollard a lot. I draft him a lot. I also think we can play the Seattle thing from 2 sides. We have 2 options. We can also go Garrett Wilson if he gets back, and then try to do Zach Wilson later. So I'd rather grab Pollard and then kind of let the room decide for us on the Seattle stuff.
Okay, I like that. We'll grab Tony here. Give it a couple picks to see what we have. Are you considering like the Hawkinson Goddard standpoint? Obviously, Hawkinson, you wouldn't really be building a stack yet. Goddard, you would have had to have Hurts. What are your thoughts?
I don't mind those guys. I don't love them, but yeah, I tend to do, like, if I have Swift, sometimes I'll take Hawkinson, or, if I just feel like I'm a little bit like more set at the other positions, maybe I'll grab Hawkinson or Goddard. I actually like Goddard a decent amount because, again, I think he's just really talented. And I know, like, we're concerned about the passing volume and the target share and everything, but I think Goddard's more talented than Hawkinson personally.
That's a take. I don't know. Hawkinson was just such highly, great prospect. What, top? Was he like 6th overall pick? 7th?
Yeah, he was very high. Yeah. All right, we got Lockett and Wilson here. What do you prefer?
I think we got to go Lockett because yes, you have that week 17 correlation with the Jets, but you also have 17 weeks of correlation with Lockett. And if DK Metcalf is actually going to have a good year, like that offense needs to be strong, Lockett's also going to surpass his ADP. So that's where
Wilson's also exciting and fun, and Lockett's gross. So we got to go Lockett.
And we are not doing anything fun on this team. No. If you have looked so far, it is.
Our running backs are fun.
Gross. Yeah, except for week 9 when we need a.
Well, that's true. That's gross. We figured out a way to make that gross.
Where do you want to go week 9? We should definitely go on vacation somewhere, so we don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one.
All right, I looked at Olave. I was thinking about this because we do have the Michael Thomas. I think my problem with drafting Michael Thomas and Olave is for Olave to make value at where he's getting drafted now, I think it's baking in a lot of the likelihood that Michael Thomas just doesn't play this year, or doesn't play much, or doesn't have much of a role. And so if we're making the bet on Michael Thomas, I really don't want to then spend that high capital on Olave. Might be willing to grab like a Jarvis later, just because he's, gives you a bit more value, and there's an offensive style where Michael Thomas and Jarvis both thrive. But yeah, so that's my thought there. I will. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. We got distracted. My take on drafting 2 high wide receivers. I'm okay with it. I'm not setting out to do it. But I would say I am okay with it because you are making a strong bet on that offense. And we've seen before, if an offense becomes a top 3, passing offense, 2 guys can thrive. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Even Chase and Higgins last year, like, they both can have great years. No one is not going to, you're likely not going to get a Cooper Kupp style season with the other one still has success, but they can still do very well, be great values in their team. One note I will say, though, is if I'm grabbing those 2, I am not grabbing Tyler Boyd. If I'm grabbing Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, I'm not grabbing Josh Palmer. I'm probably not even grabbing a running back either, because now it's just too many mouths to feed at those high capital. One thing I will reference is I am big on the kind of week 17 uniqueness handcuff situation that happens both from the running backs, but also with the wide receivers. And even Pat mentioned a little, like, hey, you're going to get those alternating spike weeks. I think that's really important for the playoffs, because look at the playoffs. You have Chase, you have Higgins. Chase may go off those first 2-3 weeks of the playoffs, and like, he's the guy that everyone has. But then in week 17, Higgins is the one who actually has 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Unless, very few teams, if people aren't drafting both of those, would have both Chase and Higgins. So now you're getting that uniqueness of the Higgins player. You've likely also stacked with Burrow since you've got those two guys. So in that situation, I'm like, hey, there's actually uniqueness value in this crazy tournament. You have to beat out 450 other people or so in week 17.
Yeah, and I especially like if you can get Higgins in the third, which again occasionally does happen. Like, man, like you're getting ADP value on Higgins, and you have him with Chase. And like the situation you're talking about, like, could you imagine if the playoffs had played out, in the fantasy playoffs, like if we had that T Higgins Super Bowl after needing Chase the whole time to get there? It's kind of what you just described, but like we literally saw that in the playoffs.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, we're back on the clock. Don't love the running backs for where we are now. We already have a strong wide receiver. I hate doing this, but I think Rodgers is a tier above, and we just take a naked Rodgers and we can try to, there's a couple of guys we can stack him with later.
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't love it, but I think we needed to.
I was going to ask you about quarterback because this is uncomfortable for me at quarterback. I tend to have taken care of the quarterback one already.
I agree with you. I think we got into a bit of a couple of weird spots, and that's where, like, hindsight, that Burrow instead of the Michael Thomas probably was the right play for us. Where we grabbed Lockett and Pollard, the QBs there, you were looking at kind of the Derek Carr, those middling QBs who can have a successful season, but you pretty much need to have their stack partners.
Yeah.
And the other is, like, we've got this really weird situation with two Seattle guys with Jameis late here, no QB here, Wentz here. It's going to be an interesting build, but maybe we'll probably end up with 3 QBs and 3 tight ends. I don't love doing it, but it's going to feel hard to be. It's going to be hard to love either of those positions with only 2.
Yeah, it is. We're probably past the point of 2 tight ends, so we don't really have anybody. I mean, I like this group, but more, I kind of want to stay with the group and get my second tight end there, ideally.
Yeah. So is this a Gesicki? Is this an Irv Smith, Pat Freiermuth situation? I feel like it's probably worth considering getting that first.
We could do Smith as the comeback to this Rodgers thing we're building.
I don't hate that. Pitt, Baltimore, nothing there. Miami, New England, nothing there.
Do we have any Packers at wide receiver?
No.
We're okay.
We've drafted trash, but not that much trash.
I didn't know did Watson go?
No, yeah, Watson actually already went.
Okay.
Let's see, where did Watson go? He went pretty early.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I want Underdog to change. When I click on this, I wanted to say where it got drafted.
Yeah.
Let's check Yurtle here. Yurtle grabbed Christian Watson, pick 88. Oof.
Oh boy.
Ooh. Okay.
Where did we take Lockett?
93.
Oh man.
Hey, Yurtle, we love you if you're in chat. You're allowed to have takes, and that was a take. Okay. Yeah. All right. So if we did 3-3, we're basically need to grab a 5th running back. Otherwise, we're taking a guaranteed 0 at week 9.
Yeah.
My thought here is I want to grab 2 running backs to complement these that have are not the Madison types, are more the Kenneth Gainwell types, are not the ones who, have a bunch of zeros but can perform really well, but the ones who I know can provide me that 10 to 12 point floor for this week 9 bye and, still have a chance at winning a bit more of the job or something.
I like that. Yeah. Less contingent value, more standalone.
Yeah. So 3, 5, 3 tight ends gives us 11. That gives us 7 wide receivers. 7 wide receivers feels a little not great, but when you look at who we have, like we spent a lot of draft capital, and yeah, there's some question marks here, but like we need those guys to be good anyways. That's kind of the build I'm leaning towards right now.
I think you're right. Yeah, I do think we could maybe go 2 quarterbacks. Would be I think we almost have to go 3 tight ends. But with Rodgers, could we get away with 2 quarterbacks? You think?
The challenge is, who is that player that we like? Like
maybe Jameis,
Rodgers and Daniel Jones, Rodgers and Jameis. And then it's like, but wouldn't you? Because like the Baker situation is still so interesting, where I kind of want to have Baker in the 17th or 18th because we have the 2 Seattle guys that we need for this team to be good. We probably need Baker to go to Seattle.
Baker. Yeah, we need Baker. Yeah.
So,
and I don't think we can do Rodgers and Baker. That just feels a little.
Just those 2. Yeah. I mean, that's a really swinging situation where it's like, hey, this team needs Baker to Seattle. And if I have Rodgers and Baker, I'm then okay. But even if Baker's at Seattle, it still feels a little rough.
Yeah, it still feels a bit rough.
All right. So if Gesicki falls to us, you might be able to convince me that we could just do Gesicki and Irv. And just accept that. Okay, well, I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. Thanks, Hochberg. Jameis is still here. Daniel Jones is still here.
I do think what we have set ourselves up for at least is that we can push it at quarterback because we have a Wentz out. Like we don't need to force it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Michael Carter, the kind of guy who's going to give us weekly points?
Correlation.
By week 9. Yeah, we get that Jets correlation that we've been talking about for week 17. All right, that's a nice fit. Wow, it feels good to have like a draft pick that I'm not even drafting that much of him, but like it feels good for the roster construction.
Yeah. No, it felt like in a lot of these picks we've been kind of like discombobulated, or at least I felt that way. It is interesting, like with these streaming drafts, I'm used to kind of the ship chasing streams where like it's predictable. Like I know kind of who's going to go earlier than a normal draft, but this has been kind of an interesting mix where we've seen some reaches, like some pretty big reaches, but it also like the flow of the draft has not felt like a normal underdog draft and also not like a ship chasing draft. So I haven't been able to predict the waves, you know?
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, so like the number 1 overall pick is BFFL, and it looks like they're streaming on their channel. So we've got competing streaming, we got multiple streams going on for this. So you really can't get the true identity of the draft when you have these multi-chats going. Like that's the only.
That's so interesting. I've never been in that. So we have multiple streams. So there's like an identity war happening within this draft.
There's probably an underground one too that we're not even privy to. That'd be kind of interesting. Like I know some people have done like, hey, like let's bring a whole bunch of streamers together and do a draft all together. But let's say, no, I want to separate all the streamers. You each have your own channels, your own chats, and figure out. Okay. So QB, maybe this is a Jameis.
Yeah, I don't need it.
Wide receiver. I don't think we need to stretch for a wide receiver. The tight end feels pretty ugly around this area. All right, let's grab Jameis because we've got that Michael Thomas. So Rodgers, Jameis, obviously we paired our bye week 14s because we just don't pay attention to bye weeks here on the ETR stream.
Well, we're going 3 QB. We already decided. So what's the Seattle bye?
We're going 2.5 QB. 2.5. All right, Seattle is 11, so we're good there. I tweeted this out yesterday or the day before. I did a super flex puppy, and I drafted 4 quarterbacks that are all by week 9 without knowing it.
Dude, week 9 is going to be a light week. I'm already looking forward to week 9. It's going to be like a 10-game slate? It's going to be glorious.
The good news is, and some big brain in the replies goes, yeah, but I think you drafted Yeah, you drafted Baker Mayfield, so he's not going to beat by week 9. So you're good. He's either Carolina or Seattle, who have 2 different bye weeks. So
yeah. Baker to Carolina would be so brutal for this team.
If Baker went to Carolina,
we should draft Robbie just as an out.
And Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go to Seattle, maybe.
Oh,
would you rather have Baker or Jimmy on Seattle with this team?
Baker.
I think so.
I think Baker has a higher upside.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I hate doing this style thing, but it feels like, Jimmy, I'd rather, that's great for Tyler Lockett, bad for DK Metcalf, but like, I don't know, that's probably inaccurate bias in our heads.
I just feel like Seattle doesn't design a good passing game, and so I just want the better improviser.
So you say Seattle, but I think you're talking about a 7-year-old coach.
Yeah. So my apologies to the city of Seattle.
We do not shame you, Seattle. It is not your fault that you decide to run the slowest games possible, coming out with like 42 snaps for a game, almost all rushing. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Someday you will have a QB that is not also a member of AARP. I mean, a QB, a coach.
We need the Goodwill Hunting. It's not your fault with the city of Seattle. Over
there goes Cameron Brake goes 158. What are your thoughts on the Tampa Bay situation there?
I'm fully on board with Levitan's take here. Why are we drafting a guy who plays a different position because Gronk retired? Seems odd. Yeah.
At least the 11th spot did have Tom Brady, does have Mike Evans, so is going for the stack there.
Okay.
So no concerns there. I don't know what his ADP is right now for when you need to get him, but yeah, I'm not on Brady, but when you've got that Tampa stack, I'm not going to fault you for it if it wasn't too much of an ADP reach.
You know, one guy that I really like, and I don't really get his ADP is Higbee. Higbee's playing like every snap, right?
No, I completely agree. He fell down in the 1-yard line, and he got tackled like at least 4 times last year in an offense that is still very high powered. We also know with that coach, like we understand that, hey, you can have spike games so easily in that offense. We saw it with Higbee for that half a season. Or do we go Noah Fant?
We could triple stack Seattle. Yeah.
Or wait, okay. Is there someone else we want? Oh, how about Tyrion Davis? No, he's by week 9. We can't do that. Jamal Williams.
I'd rather grab Higbee or Fant.
Okay. I think we honestly have
to
go
Fant. All right, here we go. I mean, we do have the cup correlation as well, but
yeah, we do. But I mean, I think it comes down to, if you tell me the Seattle offense is going to be good, Noah Fant is a steal at this price.
Yeah, he is.
We need that Seattle passing offense to be good.
We sure do.
Okay. We are done with tight end. We are going to need another QB. We're going to need another running back. We basically need a QB. No, we're not done with tight end.
Yeah, we don't have 2. Yeah, if Higbee gets back, I mean, that would be pretty sweet.
That is. BFFL. That's the other streamers. You guys don't want Higbee. I'm sure you guys want Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett's a great value right now.
Bad for years. All right.
I still have one more.
God damn it.
Okay. QB. Is there something here we want to? So
I mean, we're waiting on Baker, right? I mean,
I think so.
Because the other thing is Wentz goes late enough to where, like, I don't know. In rounds 17, we're going to draft into the beginning of 17. I don't know.
No, we're going to draft Baker with the 18th.
Yeah,
it's going to be the
17th. I don't want to take 17 there on Baker, man. I'd rather just get sniped.
Okay, well, you know who we didn't get sniped on?
All right,
let's go.
That's actually pretty sweet. This tight end room's nice now.
What a team we put together here.
We need some Rodgers correlation, by the way. I don't think we have any.
We do not, but we have one more wide receiver piece, and we can go with a what's that old guy?
So you have intel on Fuller about why he's not going to Green Bay, right?
I do. Evan Silva kind of told the world that one. Yeah, no, it was, I guess I can talk about it. It was pretty interesting, but we're talking with Deshaun Kaiser for a bit, and obviously Kaiser was his QB at Notre Dame, and I guess I'm not supposed to. And yeah, we were just talking about like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on Will Fuller and why he hasn't signed? And a lot of it was just like, yeah, I'm really not sure. But he's, the last 2 years he should have gone to Green Bay. They wanted him to go to Green Bay, and he just hates the cold weather and wouldn't go play there. And yes, he did play at Notre Dame where it is pretty cold. I said that too, and I think he just kind of laughed and he goes, but so don't think it's Green Bay. My thought was it was the Cleveland situation where they were waiting to see what the Deshaun Watson is, so then he could go play there if Watson wasn't suspended. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some late Friday, 4th of July news where NFL is just going to drop some of the biggest suspension news for us, so it gets hidden in the holidays. I still love Will Fuller, though.
So Will Fuller's from Philly. Philly gets cold. Like, I know it's not Green Bay cold.
That's different.
But Philly gets cold. I grew up in Delaware, which is like essentially Philly. It's not. You get winter. It's winter.
But you don't get those like negative freezing tundra.
No,
Green Bay.
You don't. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I'll put Cleveland, Philly. I'll put their weather pretty much here, right? Like you're not.
Yeah.
But I think.
Yeah. I don't know. At a certain point, to me, it's like if you're not going outside, you're not going outside. So like I don't care if it's -10 or like 10. I'm staying in.
That's literally how I picked my college. I was like, if I go like north of the Mason-Dixon line, when it's cold out, I'm just not going to go to class. So it was a investment decision that I would actually go
you bet on yourself.
I bet on knowing myself. I bet against my
You bet against the other version of yourself.
you gotta know your weaknesses.
You do. I think it's a healthy move.
That's why it is Florida right out there. It's fantastic. Okay.
That is nice.
How are we doing? How are we looking here? What's the answer here?
Gross up in Delaware. Not that many people, as it turns out. It's a small state.
I'm pretty sure businesses just go there for tax relief.
They do, yeah. It's a good tax environment if you're like a credit card company or whatever. Okay. We're officially done with tight end. We need one of every other position. Wide receiver. Well, we know Will Fuller's not going to Green Bay. Yeah, we can't take him. Julio, maybe.
So you got Cobb and Dubs, Amari are all possible ones. Just going to throw those in the queue for us. Running back. J.D. McKissick is a strong. Oh, Jarek and J.D. I'd be happy with either of these two for this team.
Jarek and J.D. I also don't mind Raheem. Just kind of, he's not a pass catcher, but he's like a mix-in guy. But maybe it's too spike weeky for the week 9 thing.
My concern there is he also just could be phased out with Sony Michel.
I like Jarek a lot.
Okay,
but or I mean, we do have this this correlation thing going on with Washington.
I think that gives us the JD.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody's going to care about that game. It's going to be 50-48, and we're just going to collect all the McGiblets.
Yeah, you fools, not stacking Cleveland, Washington.
It's funny. It might have been Leone. I don't know. Someone was talking about this, how like nobody wants to stack the New York Jets, like Seattle game. Nobody wants to stack the Washington Cleveland game. And it just becomes so easy to get it. And then you leave your draft and you go lose a couple pounds by vomiting.
You violently vomit. But man, the EV is good.
Yeah. I see this. Wentz doesn't check down. I know that was the thought with the Hines situation, but I mean, McKissick also can run downfield. So we still got those points coming. Also, is Wentz really going to be the QB the whole year? I don't know.
Yeah. In that Spike Week draft, I set up a stack with Wentz, and then I just chickened out. I just didn't take Wentz.
Matt Ryan is still on the board.
Wow.
Did we just take Matt Ryan?
I think, are we doing this Baker thing?
I know, but I mean, like, what do we do?
Let's take Julio. Let's take Julio. He goes to Green Bay.
Okay. How did Matt Ryan fall this far? Who has the Pittman? Who has all that stuff?
Or where are you at on Julio?
So I'll group Fuller and Julio because I think my take is pretty similar. I think they are fantastic draft picks. I think they're substantial value. Every day that I don't hear where they're going, I get more concerned. And so right now, like, I still am grafting a bunch of Julio and a bunch of Fuller. I think it was David Maddock yesterday put out, like, hey, who do you think has the highest advance rate? And I'd be willing to put my money up against anyone else. If you pick one name, I pick one name. The winner is only if you get the person with the highest advance rate. My answer is Will Fuller. Because, yeah, if he doesn't play, if this doesn't work out, he's not going to finish at the highest advance rate. Chances are you weren't going to guess who was going to finish the highest advance rate either. But if he actually does play that full season and goes anywhere, where he's getting drafted right now is an absolute steal. So even if you think there's a 50% chance he doesn't even play this year, I still think around 17, round 18, Will Fuller is amazing value.
I do too. I've been drafting a ton of both guys. I've been leaning a little bit towards Julio because he's a bit cheaper here on Underdog typically, although we took Julio over Fuller. But I still have a ton of both. But
we took Julio though for the team though, because to hope to get the Green Bay correlation.
We have the intel that Fuller doesn't play in the Colts. So
and Julio, honestly, I think would make more sense for a Rodgers offense than Will Fuller. Not from the style of play, but just like I could see Julio saying, hey, end of my career, the money is not important anymore. I just want to go to a team that has a chance to win. I know I'm going to be used in high leverage situations. Probably becomes the number. I mean, I don't know if he's the number one option, but I'd say he's the number one red zone option on that team from a pass catching. And so where Will Fuller, he's still, he missed a few years. He's still a little younger. Maybe he wants to go get that bag and he cares more about kind of setting his family up and all that stuff. I don't know. It's all narrative street, but I know you guys like the narratives.
Oh yeah. You got to get into the narratives. I mean, what are we doing this for? Yeah, Julio. I mean, Julio's 33, so like I guess there's like a legit chance he retires. But like, I don't know. I went on to his Instagram, and all his posts are like for some like athletic gear product that's launching. Like, seems like maybe a bad move to retire if you're like launching some kind of athletic gear in October. So
maybe that's just why he hasn't announced it. Like maybe he is retiring, but he wants to make it seem like to be like, hey, I'm still selling. I'm still an athlete, world-class athlete, NFL wide receiver. You can watch me playing this stuff. And then come August,
BT man, that would be tough.
Retired.
Yeah, that would definitely hurt. But I don't know. I mean, he was fine last year when he did play. I understand he was hurt like basically the whole year, but his play was actually still decent.
He also was in a run-first Tennessee offense that, I mean, hard to really look too good in that offense. I mean, even A.J. Brown in probably like 30% of the games looked like a dud.
Yeah.
All right, baby Stevie. Go for it.
I was just going to say, Fuller had that severe finger fracture that he's had like multiple surgeries on. So that concerns me like a little more where maybe it's like an Andrew Luck type thing where, he's just like, I just don't want to be doing this as my life right now.
Yeah. So just real quick, we have Terry, we have McKissick, we have two Cleveland. Do we go Wentz over Baker or do we go Baker?
I'm open to either because we did triple stack Seattle. So
yeah, give me an answer.
Let's go Baker.
I think we got him.
Oh yeah. All right. Baker, I mean, that's more fun. Is it better? No, we should have taken Wentz, but Baker's more fun.
If we didn't go Noah Fan, I think I would have gone with the
Me too. Me too.
Wentz. But once we went with the triple, like we need
we so badly need Baker to Seattle.
It's going to be so funny when Jimmy G goes.
That'll be brutal.
Hey, maybe Baker stays, and now we got Chubb.
Well, like, okay, so the team that Pete and Beinfor had that, I finished top 10 in Best Ball Mania last year, I think they took Sony Michel as a Patriots correlation. And then Sony Michel ended up being a key piece to them. So, it doesn't matter. Maybe we get Baker. Baker crushes in Carolina. Unstack Baker, wins us this thing. Let's go.
God, I can't believe we didn't even get Robbie Anderson. All right, so taking a look at this team. I do not often end up with a 3-5-7-3. This has to be one of my least likely builds. But
Me too.
Knowing we have this, I think our QBs make sense. We
we got a little gross today, It's Tuesday afternoon. We got a little gross.
I need to go jump in a pool or something.
We did. Look, we scooped value. This is what scooping value looks like. If Michael Thomas falls to you in the 7th, you take him. You don't worry about his ankle. You don't worry about him rehabbing 2 years after the injury. You just scoop that value.
I really like our wide receivers. I mean, our running backs. No, honestly, this is the weird situation where I probably don't love anything, but I can talk a story into everything.
No, this team is what I like. The team, I just don't like anything about the team.
Okay, well,
I do like the tight end room. The tight end room is a little fun. We got we don't have any correlation with Rodgers, which is like super bad, but we do have a bring back, which is nice in week 17. And Fenton Higbee, that's pretty good.
I have always been a very charitable person, and I'm just spreading out the charities through different means. So, Underdog, thank you for helping me to facilitate this $25 donation. If you'd like to provide me with a receipt for my tax write-offs, I would appreciate that. BFFL, if you can co-sign that, I would much appreciate that. Carlos likes our defense.
Yep.
Our defense is not any worse than any other team's defense. So
that's true.
That going for us.
We do have that.
And Taylor's right. Like, we got really good value on a maybe naked Rodgers.
Yeah, probably naked Rodgers.
Also, if Julio does sign with Green Bay, like, that's a pretty value stack there because Rodgers' ADP moves up, Julio's ADP moves up. Okay. Yeah, a lot of value. You can hear Overzet in the background giving a howl. I'm not.
I will say, as gross as this team is, it is a bet on a couple very specific free agency outcomes, which probably isn't the worst thing to do in June. I haven't done a ton of this, but
really
I don't know,
really want. To be honest, it's just Baker to Seattle.
Yeah, Julio to Green Bay would be a nice little icing, but you're right.
Okay. Chat, Pat, I need you to close your eyes for a second. Adam Schefter just tweets out, Baker is signing a 3-year deal with Seattle. Moves into the starting quarterback. How do we now feel about this team?
Still gross.
That's it. Okay. It is what it is. I'm going to go.
I mean, better. I feel better.
Okay, chat. I know we've got a few of you that were in this draft. I'd love to review one of yours so then we can show that, hey, someone can actually come out of a crappy draft looking good. Put it in chat. What number are you? First one I see, you will be our choice to review. All right, let's see. Given that delay, we're coming in. I was inverted at the 2 spot. Okay, let's take. I saw that was a 3rd. So 1.06, Aaron Eisenberg. Let's go with yours. So I like to review them this way, a little easier. Hochberg. Okay. So starting off with that Matthew Stafford, Mac Jones, Matt Ryan. Tremendous value at that Matt Ryan pick. And when you have Stafford and Mac Jones, I do think it makes sense to grab a 3rd QB. Running back.
Where's that line for you with the 3rd quarterback? Who's the last guy?
Well,
where you're just taking 2, I mean.
Yeah, so for the first guy, I would say only Kyler. I'd say Kyler's at the end of the first tier where it doesn't matter who my second QB is. Or if I get 2 guys that are probably Rodgers, Derek Carr, Stafford, like that range and better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But like if I get Kyler, Lamar, Herbert, Mahomes, Allen, I'm only doing 2 QBs. Okay, so we've got that. Eckler, DeAndre Swift, going for a 4 RB build. If you're going to go 4 RB, I actually don't mind Josh Jacobs because just that level of consistency helps. Ramondre is a guy that I'm very high on, so I haven't been doing as many of my 4 RBs as I did 2 years ago, but I like these running backs. We had a lot of wide receivers. What do you think of these wide receivers, Pat?
There's kind of an interesting mix of
LAR, New England, India, the QBs. Yeah.
Wait, what was the correlations again?
Allen Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, and T.Y. Hilton are the direct correlations. The bringbacks are Eckler, Miami, nothing, and New York Giants, nothing.
So like Jameson here, I feel like is kind of nice because you're going with like more wide receivers in the build. So it's like how do guys actually break into the starting lineup? So I do like the big swing with Jameson in particular.
Yeah, Jameson, I think, is one of those that early on in the offseason, I thought I was going to have so much of him. But then the reports just didn't sound great. Hate the landing spot in Detroit. And he hasn't fallen as far as I kind of was hoping or expecting.
I know. He isn't as cheap as I thought he would be.
Like, it's hard to say Garrett. I mean, I know Garrett Wilson's around or so above, but like a healthy Garrett Wilson that's playing you expect to play the entire year versus Jameson, like, I don't know. That should be more than a round or 2 difference.
I think Garrett's going to, to my 2 truths and a lie thing, like, I think Garrett's going to jump a lot. Like, I think Garrett's probably starting in 2 wide receiver sets, and Elijah Moore will not be.
So Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson.
I think it's Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson would be my guess right now. I mean, they're talking about, I was just to like double check that I was over on The Athletic, and Connor Hughes was describing it as like he thinks they feel really good about the wide receiver group because Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore are versatile. So like if anything were to happen to Wilson, Moore can move to the outside, which is like he's moving, and then if something happens to Moore, they can move Braxton Berrios into the slot. So like,
where does Denzel Mims fit?
I mean, I think another team. He was left off their 53-man projection. It's a tough season for Denzel Mims.
I've been drafting a little Braxton Berrios, and maybe it's an injury necessary, but like the connection he had with Zach Wilson, like they just bro out. Like I wouldn't be shocked if Braxton Berrios ends up like having a major impact or a couple spike weeks, maybe because of an injury or something.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, he's pretty good.
All right, and rounding out with Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki, no complaints there at all. I think when you draft Kyle Pitts, Gesicki's a great complementary piece in that end of where I like getting tight ends. So good job there.
Yeah, I like that.
I think I would have liked to seen a little more correlation across a lot of like kind of one-man stacks with not much bring back. Maybe I'd go 1 more running back and 1 fewer wide receiver. I know you wanted to get the T.Y. Hilton correlation here. You got the Kendrick Bourne, Mac Jones as well. But no, overall, I think it's a pretty solid draft. So well done, Alan Hochberg. Everyone else, I know there were a lot in here, but thank you for joining us. This has been very entertaining. Yeah, it's been a very entertaining draft. I think that's the word that I'll leave with.
That's what we seek to do here. We seek to entertain and draft naked quarterbacks.
Today's letter is E. E for entertaining. Comes in the alphabet 3 letters after B. B for bad draft. Okay. It's been more than an hour. We've been having a blast. I will see you all 2 days from now, Thursday. We are going to bring on the only other Best Ball Mania champion. One of coming from the tree that Pat Kerrane also is connected to, Mr. Liam. So Liam,
what tree is that? What's the tree?
So I think it was kitchen and stuff. And then there's a
tree. That's right, the kitchen tree. I'm not part of kitchen's tree, to be clear.
You are. If there were two trees, your tree probably like hangs over his, like provides shade over, so that.
Yeah, kitchen probably does think he's shading, with the area where my career has grown is only made possible by the shade of his branches. That's 100% kitchen stance on this.
All right. On Thursday, we will see you all. This has been a blast. Everyone in chat, everyone in the draft, appreciate you joining us. If you do have any other reviews or comments, like, subscribe, shoot me a DM. Pat, anything you want to promote and show?
We're doing team preview podcasts over on NBC Sports Edge, a good football show, bringing on beat writers, and also just talking through a couple of the teams. So we covered the AFC South yesterday. You can check that out.
Nice. And so where was that?
A good football show, wherever you get your podcasts.
Much better than this. This was a bad one. See you all later.